everyone. Welcome back to the After Scales podcast with our episode 11 with today's special guest, Bobby Santos III. We got a huge guest here with a really talented race car driver. I'm Jacob Dove from Phenom Motorsports, along with Shaun Blight from Canadian Racing Tours and Robert Clements from Dirt Late Nation. Bobby, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on tonight, guys. Excited to be part of the show and excited for the next couple weeks of racing around here.
So for all our viewers, you can go to the top left corner right here by Shaun and scan the QR code for any of, there you go, Bobby Santos's new merchandise. He's got some new cool hats out, some blue ones, some gray ones, got the 98 on there, and also t-shirts, anything Bobby Santos. Go there and buy some cool merch and check it out. We kind of did a jump right in, and obviously Bobby has a lot of accomplishments in the racing world. He's driving the number 98 Silver Crown car for DJ Racing, the 22A asphalt sprint car, along with the 14 modified on the asphalt. Different race cars he's been behind the wheel of. So, Shaun, open us up with all his accomplishments.
Yeah, I just want to echo your sentiments in thanking Bobby for coming on, and just for our viewers, just for some context, not to embarrass you or anything here, Bobby, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things you've accomplished in your career to this point. So these are just some of them. I could have gone on, but the defending Hoosier 100 champ at IRP, 2020 Little Indy 500 champ, 2010 Whelen Modified champion, and 19 career wins in the Whelen Modifieds. 2008 Turkey Night Grand Prix winner, 2009 Copper World Classic Midget winner. You've raced Xfinity, Trucks, ARCA, SRX. You've got 12 USAC Silver Crown wins. And a cool thing that I didn't know that I found when I was looking up, you have the first pole for Toyota and did that in 2007 with the ARCA series. So that was pretty cool. Bobby, when I read out all those things, and there's more things that I could have read off, I guess the only way to ask it is, when you were starting out racing, could you have believed that you would have been like where you are right now?
I've been very lucky with my racing. As you read that stuff off, honestly, what I thought of was all the missed opportunities in between there on the stuff that we didn't win. But been very lucky. I've had good people behind me, with my family, my parents. You guys mentioned my merchandise, which that's all my wife, Christy. She puts all the work into that. Appreciate that from you guys. But just been very lucky. Have a lot of good car owners through the years. A lot of good teams that I've driven for. A lot of good people that I've been around. Been lucky enough for that. So definitely, any success we've had is definitely credit to everybody that I've been around.
And I mentioned before we went on that I started watching you racing kind of early on at Oswego Speedway, running the NEMA midgets, and then in the super modifieds, running the Oswego Classic and things like that. Obviously, your grandfather used to race, and you've got a lot of rich racing history with your family. But maybe just talk a bit about kind of what got you interested and the path that kind of led to where you are now.
Yeah, honestly, I grew up into it. My dad had me in a go-kart in our backyard at 2 years old, and just riding around and learning how to drive, learning how to run, excavators, backhoes, construction equipment as a young kid with my dad, and obviously grew up in a racing family, so driving and racing was just natural, I guess, but I was very lucky to get into quarter midgets. Learned a lot, spent a lot of years there, made some great friends there. And then, got into the modifieds, midget super modifieds, which turned out to be a lot of fun. Still have a lot of great friends and memories from the NEMA racing, going to Oswego, running the Classic for the first time at 16 years old. Was pretty cool. Excited to go back and run the Classic again this year with Jeff West and his super modified that he just put together. That I feel like I probably have one of the better opportunities coming up this year to hopefully finally win that race one of these, this year with the car that Jeff's prepared. just definitely lucky that I've been around good people and grew up with the effort that my dad and my family put into it.
And being from Franklin, Massachusetts, obviously you're up around modified countries for modifieds, and then over the years you've gone into the sprint cars and the midgets on the, in the Indiana area. How can you kind of, obviously the racing's really good up there, and then in Indiana, that's the heart of open wheel racing. So kind of compare the two. What would you say is kind of the tougher competition, because both have really tough drivers you're going up against?
Yeah, it's honestly it's so different. Growing up in New England and racing modifieds, that's what I knew and grew up was the top tier of competition in New England is the modifieds. And then obviously a lot of people from New England watched Thursday Night Thunder and stuff like that back when we were a kid. And a goal was to be in a Silver Crown car and to run USAC and stuff like that. So getting to know the Seymour family, they kind of introduced me to this form of racing that I've grown to love and enjoy. It's so hard to compare the competition because I feel like it's um, anyone who does what they do a lot of is really good at it. Like Doug Coby in a modified, I mean, he's one of the best and hard to beat. And then you have obviously Cody Swanson in the sprint cars and Silver Crown cars, who's the same way, that specialize in certain type of race cars. So, for me to go back and forth and run both, modified sprint cars, super modifieds, and run against different people and different disciplines can be tough sometimes when you're going against guys that are that specialize at certain things. And but that's no excuse. We just got to try to do a good job at everything that we show up and do.
I was going to follow up on that actually, Bobby, because there's not a lot of drivers, past or present, that kind of race as much different kind of forms of racing that you have. I guess a two-part question is, how difficult is that to switch? You kind of touched on it. How difficult is it to switch back and forth, just transitioning from smaller cars, heavier cars? And I guess when you were growing up, did you have like a kind of a path in mind, like where you wanted to go? Because you kind of, or you just kind of just take whatever ride kind of comes along kind of thing?
Yeah, I'd say starting out in my early, younger years, late teens, early 20s, it was getting anything that I could get the opportunity in to drive. And kind of came from modifieds and stuff like that in New England, but then the door kind of opened to get into the supers and the midgets with kind of off path, I guess you could say, for what most people in New England would do. But just had a couple opportunities in those type of cars and enjoyed it. And I feel like people in racing now definitely specialize in certain things. So, which make people really, really good at certain things, which, makes it tough. But I enjoy driving different cars, the different cars in the same day. I don't really feel that it's difficult to get in different cars and drive. I think that's honestly the easy part, to get in different cars and drive. But to really be on top of your game and the different forms of cars, it definitely takes laps and just really fine tuning the car as much as anything. To be on top of it, whether it's a Silver Crown car or the modified or anything else. And honestly, the biggest thing is the people you're around. Like when I, can show up at a modified race in a really good car, it makes a huge difference when, for me, from the driving standpoint, I'm not bringing, a lot along as far as I haven't been running those races week in and week out. So, for the team to be on their A game is crucial for me to hop in and be able to drive and get the best out of that.
And I've personally gotten to see you watch you race down here in South Florida at Showtime Speedway and Citrus County Speedway a couple times in the sprint car. And what would you say is your relationship like with DJ racing? And like tell our viewers, because all the behind the scenes stuff is kind of hidden from the fans. So kind of share with them, like, how your relationship with your team owner and your crew guys.
Yeah, I've been with DJ Racing now. This is my 10th year with Dick and DJ Racing. Him and his wife Jane. I work full time for Dick. That's actually my full time job right now in Indianapolis. I work in the shop every day. It's been absolutely crazy here the last couple weeks. A lot of late nights at the shop, getting ready for the end of May here. But we have our Silver Crown car, obviously, our non-wing sprint car, and our wing sprint car that we all run out of our DJ Racing shop. It's myself, and I have a helper that comes and helps me every day. Cooper Welch, he's been good help the last couple of years. Then at the racetrack, we're kind of a small operation. My family comes along. My parents come in from Massachusetts a lot, which is amazing as much as they come and help. And then I got one other guy, Tony, that comes to the racetrack with us. But we're kind of just a small operation with my wife, my two kids, and my family. But just very lucky to be with Dick the last 10 years. He's been a great car owner. I mean, he gives me all the resources to prepare the cars the best I can. So typically, if we don't run well, it's my fault, whether it's my fault on the driving side or the preparation side of the race car. It's kind of hard to make excuses when you're the driver and the main mechanic.
I hope your dog's giving you some good setup tips for next week in the background.
Yeah, my wife just put the kids to bed, so he's seeing what's going on outside.
So you're talking about the big week of Indy next week. You're running the Silver Crown race at IRP. You're running the Little Indy 500. How much fun is this week, or stressful maybe even, just kind of getting everything ready and then just leading up to the events themselves?
The last 2 weeks have been absolutely insane stressful, just more so getting the cars ready. As stupid as it sounds, the driving's the easy part. The hard part's getting organized. We have to prepare trucks and trailers to go in 2 different directions because I have to have my sprint car at Anderson Tuesday to get parked, ready for practice on Wednesday, and have a truck and trailer and all our pit equipment and everything there. And then we kind of have to have a separate operation at the Silver Crown for IRP. And we're not really prepared to do that as far as rigs go. We're really not set up for that. And then on top of that, I'm running Jeff West's midget at IRP and help a little bit with preparing the tires and a couple other things with Jeff to get those cars ready. So the lead up to this week has been craziness, has been insane. The preparation for the pit stops for the Little 500. We don't normally do pit stops at sprint cars, so I'm doing a pit practice with all my guys. We actually did that last night. But to do that, to be ready, just to prepare all those tools that you only take out once a year to do pit stops is so much work. So once we get into the week of that, honestly, for me, it calms down and the nights aren't as late and it actually gets a little bit easier, to be honest.
Yeah, and I also wanted to shift gears here. What are some of your hobbies outside of racing?
Well, honestly, all I do is work on race cars and race cars, but only other hobby away from that is good night, buddy. Obviously spending time with my kids. That's biggest thing. And then last handful of years as I've gotten older, I've come to enjoy going to the gym and go to a CrossFit gym, and that's honestly become my favorite thing away from racing. Is I really enjoy going to the gym. It's pretty peaceful. I haven't actually been in 2.5 weeks, and it was killing me, and I finally made it tonight, and I feel a lot better actually.
You mentioned the the Little Indy. So I'm going to for the first time. I've never done the Little Indy, but I'll be there, and I can't wait. So speaking of workouts, you're doing 500 laps on that little quarter mile. How different is that? And you mentioned like practicing for pit stops and stuff. How much like kind of time that goes into that? You mentioned your guys are practicing and stuff. Just that race in general, like it's a bit of an attrition fest. Like how do you have to prepare the car differently? Like just talk about that race in general and getting ready for it.
Yeah, God, I feel like you prepare for that race all winter, just gathering certain parts and pieces and items and ways to make it more efficient, to make the pit stop more efficient, to be prepared for that race. Again, we only pit. We're not like the modifieds and stuff where they pit every race, so they're really prepared for that. But with the sprint car stuff, we pit once a year, and it's become such a big part of that race. That race, I know the first 500 I ran, it was more of a, save your tires, ride around and basically get to lap 400 so you can race the last 100 laps. I'd say over the course of the last 5 years, in my opinion, that race has turned into 500 laps of sprint car racing. You're running hard for 500 laps. The pit stops are so competitive. The teams are so good. The pace that some of these guys are running is so fast compared to the years in the past that you got to be up on the wheel for 500 laps. If you get behind, you never get caught up in that race. But yeah, it just I'm thinking about that race. The day up until that race, thinking about it. Then as soon as it's over, we kind of have a group text with all the guys that help me every year, and it seems like Monday, Memorial Day after that race, we're already texting each other on what we can do better the next year, and we're constantly thinking about it, constantly trying to change stuff and make stuff better. But it's a mentally demanding race. I think for me at this point in my life, it's more a mentally demanding race. Thinking about the pit strategy, when to pit, positioning myself to be in position at the end of the race. For me, that's harder than the physical side. I feel like I'm in pretty good shape right now. So physically, personally, I hope it's 100 degrees and humid so that the people that aren't in shape, it beats them up quicker.
And then, sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
It just seems like you're at a pretty good place, with your racing career. Obviously, you've had a lot of success, but kind of going back to your later years, you've raced ARCA, a NASCAR truck series, Xfinity series. Has your goal always been to make it to the top level of NASCAR, or you kind of I'm okay with running and competing on the USAC trail or with the modifieds? Has that always been your goal?
As a kid in quarter midgets in my early years, in my teens and early 20s, I wanted to race NASCAR. My goal is to race NASCAR, and I got a little taste of that. Unfortunately, I feel like my timing wasn't the greatest. My ARCA and Bush stuff was in 07, which was basically when the economy took a dump and things went south and racing really changed for the worst, in my opinion, as far as it become a complete buy or ride program down south, and I just don't have that funding. But basically, has accepted that doing the sprint car racing and enjoy the sprint car racing and the modified racing and the different forms. I'm lucky right now that I'm making a living. Getting to race and doing something that I enjoy doing. So right now, I enjoy racing sprint cars, and I'm lucky to do it. And sure, I'd love to do something. I'd love to run I'd love to run the Indy 500 someday. I'd love to, maybe be in one of the top tiers of NASCAR. But I understand that those are money-driven things, and I know that that's just not what I have.
Yeah, I've talked with a couple guys up here that exact same thing at the exact same time, where they went down, they had a shot like 2007, And it's just, that timing is just brutal. Like, it used to be sponsors wanted to be on every car, and now it seems the drivers have to bring the sponsors with them, or you're not getting a ride, no matter how good you are. So, with the USAC stuff this year, so you're third in points for the Silver Crown. Cody Swanson just seems so dialed in this year. Like, what do you have to do to slow him down and get yourself a championship for the Silver Crown Series?
I mean, they're dialed in every year. I mean, he's been really good. I'm actually just running the pavement side of the Silver Crown schedule. So in order to run for the points, you have to run the pavement and the dirt. So we don't have intentions to do the dirt side of it. So we're not going to win a championship in the Silver Crown Series this year, or probably any year in the near future. I enjoy the pavement stuff. We're just racing to try to win the big races, which the next one up is the Hoosier 100, which is our biggest race of the year with Silver Crown Racing. I mean, to beat them on pavement, you got to be perfect. You gotta hit your race car in the money. You can't have any mechanical issues, and just gotta drive a perfect race in order to beat their team right now.
We'll hop into our Victory Fuel rapid fire 10 questions. So, Bobby, we have this cool segment where we just fire off 10 short questions. We do this with every guest. We just had Taylor Ferns, one of your competitors, on earlier podcast. So we asked her some similar questions, but more detailed towards you. So, use Robert Clements' Dirt Late Nation code at Victory Fuel for all your Victory Fuel needs for 10% off. And Bert, take us away.
Yeah. So first, we're gonna ask, what's your biggest pet peeve while driving your street car?
Probably slow people in the high lane. I definitely. I commute about 40 minutes to the shop every day, and I probably get flipped off at least once a week.
All right. If it was any kind of race car that you haven't driven, which one would you love to try?
Right now, probably an Indy car.
All right. And what race haven't you won that you want to win?
I'd like to win on the banks one of these days, whether it's Winchester or Salem.
If I could just interrupt there quickly, Bert, where does the Budweiser Classic rank up there for you? Because I watched you finish second in a pretty historic finish there with Greg Furlong. And you're still running that one every year, the one super modified race we can always count to see Bobby Santos at. So talk about that race just real quick.
I actually slipped on that question. Right now, that's at the top of the list. That's been one of the races for me. Honestly, it used to be Copper World, Turkey Night, and the Oswego Classic. I used to say that a lot, and I got Copper World, I got Turkey Night, and Oswego seems to. That's another example of we're not a regular at that track, and those guys up there are just so good that run there all the time, and just showing up Classic weekend is hard. But yes, Oswego Classic is definitely at the top of the list, and like I said earlier, I think with Jeff West's car, I have a good opportunity this year.
What's your favorite car to drive? Race car to drive?
It used to be the non-wing sprint car, but I've kind of been horrible in that the last couple of years. So right now, I'm going to say the wing sprint car.
All right. And who is your racing hero, non-family related?
Ted Christopher.
Nice.
All right. Who's your favorite singer or band right now?
I don't really. I don't know. Toby Keith. We'll go with Toby Keith. Poor guy.
What's your favorite drivers you've raced against in the past?
Ted Christopher was always the guy I always looked up to. I don't know if he was my favorite driver to race against because he used to beat me up pretty bad, but definitely Teddy on any questions related to that.
All right. Who are some of your favorite competitors to race against right now?
None of them. I don't like any of them.
Good answer.
All right. What's your favorite paint scheme you've ever raced with?
I just prefer a black plain race car. I've never been big into paint schemes or anything like that. Paint my helmet, any of that. Actually, the Silver Crown car we did last year and for this year is pretty plain, simple look. I really like.
Yeah, and some say that if you don't got sponsors, you got enough money to run the car without them. So, I mean, I guess that's good. And then, lastly, what's the best advice you could give a young race car driver?
Um, I think what's lacking in today's racing is respect and the way kids race. I think there's a lot of, and I think back to the conversation earlier, I think there's a lot of talented young racers. Along with being talented, they have a lot of money behind them. So it's no issue to crash a car and dig another one out and do it all over again. So my best advice is to be the guy that is a respectful racer and learn how to race the right way.
That's awesome. I've had a lot of conversations with Jake Lutz, modified driver up here, and I know he's helped you with when you're behind the wheel of the 14 car, and he talks about what a pleasure it's been to work with you and learn from you, and in his words, to be a sponge when he's watching you race, and so that's good advice for any race car driver.
No, Jake's going to be extremely successful. I think when he gets all the opportunities that he deserves, he's going to do very well.
That's awesome.
Well, those were obviously great answers by Bobby. We wanted to conclude our podcast by obviously thanking him for coming on. Obviously, race car drivers are busy people, and we really appreciate them taking time to come talk about racing and their personal life. And yeah, make sure you guys go check out Bobby Santos III merch. Shaun's repping.
Here we go.
Yeah, check out all the new stuff. Make sure to follow Bobby on all his social media to stay up to date on all his races that he's got coming up. Last but not least, wanted one last question for Bobby before we conclude, and is that once you hang up that fire suit and that helmet and you call it quits on racing, what do you want everyone to remember you for?
Ooh, good one.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I really don't think about that, but just that I enjoyed racing with my family. That's probably the biggest thing. Like I said, my kids come to the races with me. My dad, my mom, Christy. Just that it was a family thing that we enjoyed doing and did well as we did it.
Awesome. So we appreciate everyone tuning in to watch the After the Scales podcast. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Stay up to date for our next episode. And yeah, thanks, Bobby, for being on tonight.
Cool. No, thanks a lot, guys. That was fun. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again to Bobby Santos III for being on our podcast today. We want to conclude our podcast with our last segment, the green, white, checkered. Shaun, you want to start out with the green flag?
Yeah, so Thursday, weather's looking okay. I'm going to head to Outlaw Speedway for the High Limit Series. My first time seeing the High Limit in person, so that'll be really cool. Weather's kind of looking up in the air. My plan was to go to Sharon Speedway on Saturday for the World of Outlaws race. It's not looking that great. I guess my other plan is Utica Rome for the rest of the High Limit weekend. So, yeah, we'll see. I can't wait, though. It's going to be an awesome show. High Limit's put on some great shows this year, and yeah, really excited. Yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. Hopefully the Outlaw Speedway show can get in, and Sharon's always a great racetrack too. I'll go in with our white flag segment here and tell everyone that not much racing going on for me this weekend, unfortunately, but some of our Phenom Motorsports drivers raced this past weekend. We had Tim Dodson running his Dwarf car at Citrus County Speedway. He's been having a lot of bad luck lately, so it was just good to see him get out there and travel a pretty far distance to go race and
get a top 5 finish running at Citrus County. And we also had Tyler Landis running his 4.6 Ford at Auburndale Speedway, and then his mini sprint at the Bull Ring at Marion County Speedway. So yeah, everyone stay tuned for our Team Phenom guys who will be racing this weekend. I know Jace, he's been running his kart. Braden's been running his dirt flat kart. Tyler Gerb, he was just at the Darlington Raceway. He was VIP, so he was there to watch all the NASCAR action. So he was pretty cool experience with that. So make sure to stay tuned for all the racing action coming up this weekend and the following week. We'll have Bert take us away to the checkered flag for all our late model news.
Well, yeah, as I've said many times, I've got the checkered flag because I'm going to win tonight on iRacing. Racing Port Royal, but Outlaws are racing, which would be pretty good. But here in the coming weeks, you've got Lucas Oil, the 32nd annual Show Me 100, so that should be pretty good. That's a pretty big night for late model racing. There's a lot of young guys wanting to win that. So, yeah, and that's 2 weeks out. You just got the Outlaws this weekend, and that's about it. Maybe some other races you have to look. Just stay tuned on Dirt Late Nation, and it'll all be announced within the coming days.
So we appreciate everyone watching our After the Scales podcast, episode 11 with Bobby Santos III. And make sure you leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and stay up to date with all our social media. Thanks, and we'll see you guys on the next one.